Again, poor thing, loving Palm Springs in November right now. And so what does he do there? He is something, math curriculum specialist for Lincoln Public Schools. And so he is one of those district level admin, county level admin, miserable job, I imagine. And, but he used to teach math a long time ago, first grade through college. And so he's also one of those Asian authors, so he works heavily in the high school mathematics curriculum as well. And so what do we got? So here are his two truths in the lie. This is Max, first time he's done an Ignite session. Or he's a little apprehensive to do this. Or he lives in Nebraska because his wife is in the witness protection program.
Imagine, if you will, that contentious standing room only parent meeting on your new math program. I was in just such a room a year ago. The meeting ended and I left feeling beat up and depressed. And I asked myself a simple question: why? Everybody in the room wanted exactly the same thing. We wanted our students to be successful in mathematics. And the changes we had made in our program were producing the best scores ever on the state test. Part of the problem is that we live and work today in the shadow of the stereotypes of instruction first established in 18th century America. The first American math textbook established the process of teaching mathematics as state a rule, give an example, practice the rule. In 1821, the inductive method was offered. Here, kids were supposed to work through a series of examples using concrete materials to discover and understand the rules. So within the first 50 years of this country's founding, the great debate was established. Should kids learn rules, facts, and procedures, or concepts with understanding? And how should that math be taught? The history of math education in the United States is a 200-year pendulum swing between these poles. In the 50s and 60s, we tried new math. The goal was for kids to understand the structure of mathematics and develop the habits of mind of mathematicians. We all know new math didn't stick, and the country went back to the basics. In 1989, NCTM began the standards-based reform effort. By the late 90s, those standards were under attack. The criticisms then were the same as they are now with respect to the Common Core. Parents expected teachers to tell, educators expected kids to think. In 2010, we get the Common Core standards. We think maybe the pendulum swing will finally end. Those initially well-received standards are now under attack from both the right and the left. Why? Why all the controversy? Usually it's nothing but misinformation. Some people think the Common Core is a conspiracy. Some people confuse standards with assessment. They confuse it with curriculum. They confuse it with instruction. And now all this misinformation spreads virally through social media. Some of the famous posts that went viral include using the number line to understand subtraction, or the 10 frame to develop number sense. But in both cases, the objectors confused an instructional strategy with a mathematical standard. Our challenge is that teaching mathematics is a cultural activity. Most adults in America have experienced 2,000 hours of math instruction. This creates an expectation in their head about what effective teaching and learning is supposed to look like. But we didn't all grow up watching a doctor at work for 180 days for 13 straight years. So we trust the professional expertise of our doctor. And when she treats us with the most recent and effective, protocol, we don't push back and say, "Oh no, use leeches, please." Well, so now this slide is crap. We know the research, it's in principles to actions, and some of those research-informed instructional strategies are purposeful questions. Build procedural fluency from a foundation of conceptual understanding. And as Robert said, support productive struggle in learning mathematics. But we have to be careful how we describe these strategies to parents. Every parent understands productive struggle as long as it's applied to music or athletics. They all think their kid will grow up and be the next LeBron James or Taylor Swift through hard work, practice, coaching, corrective feedback, right? We have to communicate learning mathematics is no different. But call it effort, not struggle. We need to communicate to people what mathematics literacy means in the 21st century. It means our kids need to learn how, why, and when. We need to seek equilibrium in mathematics instruction and learning. We need to stand up for standards in common. Fractions and decimals are not different in Maine than they are in California. There is no such thing as new math. There is no such thing as Common Core math. But there are new instructional strategies. Once the goal was just to know how to do something. Now the goal is to know why. So we use visual representations. We use meaningful algorithms so kids understand the mathematics. Know how, know why, and know when. There's no reason this should be controversial. None at all. We need to point out to our critics that math achievement, particularly at the K-8 level, is up. Okay, it is higher for our students today than it was when their parents were in school. Why would we go back to a period of instruction that led to lower achievement? My call to action for you is to make sure our students learn how, why, and when. We owe it to them. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our country. Thank you.
So, is this your first Ignite? Are you, what is it, apprehensive, or is your wife in the witness protection program?
Well, definitely apprehensive. It was my first Ignite. People always ask me, have you always lived in Nebraska? My answer is, yes, no one moves there on purpose. So my new response is, the reason I live there is my wife's in the witness protection program, because it sounds really kind of cool, right? And they're afraid. So that's